Hey, good morning, and welcome to another episode of AI Buzz. My name is Nick. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I have a bunch of machine learning and AI related stories for you. Some of them, faster MRI scans are being created with artificial intelligence. Tesla price increase for self-driving features. Talk about a really cool technology called Cortex. And lastly, stay tuned for this. New result from AlphaStar. All that and more coming up. Let's get started. Researchers at NYU are working to speed up one of their most time-intensive scans. This is the magnetic resonance imaging scan, or MRI for short. MRI is used by many medical professionals to analyze organs and structures within your body. It can give full pictures of one's brain or spinal cord. It's very, very valuable. However, one of the main disadvantages is that they're extremely slow to complete. They're also especially uncomfortable since you must squeeze into a very narrow tube and stay completely still for the entire duration of the scan. And so researchers are looking to potentially change this. The MRI takes many two-dimensional cross-section slices, you can say, of your head or other part of your body, and then at the end it joins all of these 2D images together to create a 3D picture of whatever's being imaged. The primary reason that the MRI takes so long is that many of these 2D images are needed to complete this full 3D image, this full 3D view. Research is being done to speed this up, and instead of collecting every 2D image from the machine when the machine does the scan, researchers are looking at having some of those 2D slices be generated intelligently with artificial intelligence. If software could do this reliably, it would really increase the pleasure of this experience. You would not have to sit there as long, and it would also decrease the cost of the procedure. So it'd be faster, be better for you, better for the hospital, and it's a win-win situation. Initial research is being done by the NYU School of Medicine. It shows that this can be done. Results seem promising, according to some of the leaders of the study, and they believe it can certainly be implemented at some point. However, to really optimize and bring in the world's best, the research team is turning to some of the experts over at Facebook in New York City. That's the headquarters for Facebook Artificial Intelligence Research, or FAIR, and together these two teams will try to recreate these slices with a machine learning approach and then remove them from that initial scan and speed up the process. The work is still at a relatively early stage, and of course things do move slower in medical research. Additionally, very large training samples are usually required to adequately train a computer vision model, and you really want it to extend to a population outside of the laboratory. However, it seems like this is the foundation of some great work to come, and really excited to see where this goes between NYU and Facebook. Next up, Tesla is promising some killer features in the near future. Seems like just about every day they're in the news with something new that Elon Musk is promising, or in some cases, a new feature that Tesla is actually delivering. It's really cool when they do deliver something. It usually is mind-blowing. However, with some of these recent promises, in order to partake, your Tesla will need to have the full self-driving package, which is not included on all Teslas. Especially in some of the older Teslas, in order to get these sweet new autonomous car-like features, you'll have to pay a pretty hefty sum. Starting on November 1st, you'll have to pay even more. Currently, the price to upgrade to the full self-driving car package, if your Tesla does not already include it, is $6,000. However, starting on November 1st, this will go up to $7,000. So this can be a pretty startling amount, especially considering what you'll get for it right now. You'll get pretty cool features like the Smart Summon feature, but the main thing that you'll be purchasing is the ability to be equipped when things are ready from Tesla in the future. So Tesla's planning to release City Autopilot by the end of this year. I've gone off on rants before on their ambitious timelines. They say that it'll be able to navigate cities, stop at stoplights, and more. We will see if that is released by the end of the year, but it definitely will be released in probably by the end of next year. So in order to have that, though, again, you need this full self-driving car package, and if your car doesn't have it, you'll have to shell out some cash for it. It could definitely be worth it, depending on how well that City Autopilot works. I really hope it is. You won't have a whole lot to show for the upgrade. And one day, Elon has even said himself that he plans to do away with selling Teslas direct to consumers, because this means Tesla could then operate their cars themselves, and he wants to create a robo-taxi fleet of the cars, and he thinks this will pay the company a lot more than just selling them direct to consumers. So that's where Elon's head is at. However, in the meantime, consider checking out the upgrade before the price goes up yet again. Next up, blockchain technology combined with machine learning really has the potential to revolutionize the world. Blockchain technology is a way of creating a ledger of truth, sequence of events. It can be used to track transactions and money on a universally public forum, essentially. And some of the most famous one, the most famous one would be Bitcoin. This is an example of a blockchain. But you can actually extend this to have the same concept for things other than cryptocurrencies. You can have essentially the same backbone, which is that public tracking of events, so public ledger, applied to just about anything. You can have this applied so that you can create these applications that are distributed, and then people can track and see publicly how the application is being used. This is kind of the backbone for the Ethereum cryptocurrency. Not only do you have a blockchain for transactions and money, you can do all kinds of stuff on it. You can create full-on applications in a distributed manner, and it's very, very revolutionary technology. Today I'm talking mainly about a certain type of blockchain based on the Ethereum blockchain called Cortex. So the Cortex chain says it's the first to fully integrate artificial intelligence onto the blockchain. The crypto news site Decrypt asked Cortex about their technology, and one of the executives there told them, "We can do everything that Bitcoin and Ethereum can do, and on top of that, we can also do machine learning." In order to demonstrate the fusion of these two technologies, the company released their first decentralized application. It's called Digital Clash. And the game goes like this. Two teams can compete against each other to draw numbers on a row in a blank sheet. And the most heavily used pixels or spots on the sheet become more expensive. And what you can do is you have a certain amount of cash or tokens in the game that you can use to purchase these different pixels. And what's really cool is that Cortex uses machine learning to adjust the difficulty based on the team's ability. At the game's end, the winner is then evaluated after comparing their digits to one of the most famous data sets put out by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, and the best, the one that looks most like a digit, is considered the winner, and then they're paid out immediately with the Cortex system. So this is a really, really cool merging of some just game-changing technologies, and I can't wait to see, now that this has kind of been shown and a game has been released. Funny enough, a lot of big breakthroughs will happen with games, because games have people's interest, and once people get really interested and really into it, then it starts to catch on. And that is an amazing transition into my next story, which I've been itching to talk about. I love these other stories. I think it's great. But this story, man, I'm excited to talk about this. So probably my favorite development in the world of machine learning, artificial intelligence, since I really found out about the field, was DeepMind. When DeepMind debuted AlphaGo, the world was completely shocked at its performance. AlphaGo ended up defeating Lee Sedol in the World Go Championships, and that was the first time since IBM's Deep Blue that a machine had really put a human in its place. And this time, with Go, it was a completely different animal, because Go could not be solved by brute computation. The number of computations required to find the best one would have been more than the number of atoms in the universe. And this would have taken supercomputers, like millions of years to solve. The number of combinations on the Go board was that intense. So machine learning was able to come into play so that these brute force calculations were not needed. And this was just, when Lee Sedol was defeated, it's just a crazy moment in machine learning. Had everyone really, people were saying, this is fantastic technology. Can't believe it did that, but at the same time, everyone was thinking it's a little scary. That was kind of one of the first big stories that brought attention to how good some of these models are. There's a Netflix special on AlphaGo. It's actually called AlphaGo. I highly recommend checking it out if you are into machine learning. So this was several years ago when DeepMind debuted AlphaGo, and that documentary was shot. Since then, DeepMind created something called AlphaZero, which is an improvement on AlphaGo, which essentially, instead of playing and studying any human games, it just learned by playing itself. Millions of times it played itself. It improved rapidly, and then AlphaZero beat AlphaGo 100-0. So AlphaZero beats AlphaGo 100-0. AlphaGo beat the world champion Lee Sedol and made him look like a puny human. Then DeepMind was acquired by Google and continued to work really hard on all their technology, and they're doing a ton of cool stuff. And today I have what I say would be a new breakthrough in, it's similar to AlphaGo in terms of how popular this story is going to be once it really gets into some of the major news outlets. The company turned its attention to StarCraft 2, which, crazy enough, StarCraft 1 is my favorite game of all time. This is really combining several things that I love. Anyways, StarCraft 2, it's extremely popular. There's been $31 million of prize money awarded to professional esports teams who, in these huge tournaments that they do. So it's hugely popular, played by millions and millions of people. And it's also sufficiently complex that it offers a new challenge besides AlphaGo. So first, the DeepMind researchers had it learn from human-played games, and then it played itself many different times. DeepMind created specialized AI agents that they'd be kind of specialized in different tactics of StarCraft 2, and then they'd play against the main AI that they were training to essentially cover against any weakness they could think of. Eventually, after about, I believe it was 44 days, I saw in one article, 44 days of training, AlphaStar gained the Grandmaster ranking in StarCraft 2, which is the highest ranking that you can achieve. So this means you're better than 99.8% of all of the players that play Go, and normally it'll take a player years to achieve this status. So AlphaStar is created with this reinforcement learning approach, and it's really showing how it can be, it's one of it's probably the best approach out there for training these types of models. It can be used to train lots of other things too, like autonomous cars. Anyway, AlphaStar and DeepMind made it easy on us. They limited the algorithm to process and move at very human-like speeds. So they didn't allow this computer to move and operate faster than a human would in the game. And they only allowed it to see on the map the same things that a real human player would see. If these weren't in place, AlphaStar would have likely destroyed everyone on the planet much faster because, humans, at least in StarCraft 1, the professionals can click and perform 300 actions per minute. Well, AlphaStar could probably do hundreds of thousands actions per minute because it can literally go down to the millisecond level. It can perform these operations in mere milliseconds. So, even though it's a Grandmaster, there's actually still some humans who are ahead of AlphaStar. The professional level of this game is nuts. Though, if AlphaZero beating AlphaGo 100-0 is any indication of how fast this can improve, it won't be much longer before there are no humans who are ahead of AlphaStar. The researchers are going to publish this work in the very prestigious journal Nature. Can't wait to see that, see some of the nitty-gritty details of how this all works. That's about all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Brief recap of what I talked about. Talked about how Facebook and NYU are teaming up to speed up MRI scans. How the price to upgrade Teslas to full self-driving is going to increase yet again on November 1st. How the Cortex blockchain does things differently and is a big feat for cryptocurrencies and blockchain. And lastly, one of my favorite stories this year in machine learning is how the AlphaStar performance is setting a new bar for machine learning. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of AI Buzz. I'm your host, Nick. I'll be back very, very soon with new stories in the field of AI and ML. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good day. Bye.